All right, you know what time it is. Even though we're slightly off schedule, we're still making it happen day by, well, week by week. And probably a 15, maybe 20-minute video. Nothing too crazy here. Now let's get started here. All right, let's go right here. What's this question? Let me see. Can I answer? How do I use GIF files as a loader in HTML? Ooh, I'll have to do some investigation to find that out. Let me see. Why do employers ask, have you ever stolen a pen from work during job interviews? And how would you answer it? Wow. I never had that question asked before. How do you know at first gaze if someone is a good person or not? Huh. Is it true that if you order fries with no salt at McDonald's, they have to throw away their current badge and fry you a new one on the spot? How important is what the applicant is wearing to a job interview? How do people show rather than tell that they're smart? What are some examples? Uh, Actually, let's read this one. How Let's see how this person's insight on this one. Because, yeah, that's always interesting in this opinion. I cannot overstate this enough. A few years ago, I had a colleague who had a nasty personality, the very embodiment of the term used by Stanford Robert Sutton. When I looked closer, her life was an absolute disaster, unmarried or perhaps divorced, in other words, alone. In her 50s, far away from a beautiful country in some remote corner of a tiny town in China. Addicted to alcohol, a bigot who thought she was better than everyone else, always angry, always shouting, always complaining, always unhappy. By way of contrast, 2 decades ago I had the fortune to meet someone very smart. I was a negotiations and trade manager at a trading company then, and one day my employer introduced me to someone who had some business deals with us. This was a polite, graceful kid, kind, humble, and calm looking person. My employer then said, "This gentleman here is the CEO of blank." I could not believe it. His empire of companies spanned half of the country. And yet there was a person who was such a gentleman who did not ever give the vibe I'm rich. Once I was between the rock and the hard place. I needed some help really badly. This CEO did not think of me as an ex-employee of a firm of his acquaintance. He thought of me as a fellow human being. It helped me beyond my expectation, and with nothing to ask for in return. Smart people are nice because they realize in their smart minds that being nice is what makes us worthy of being called a human. Smart people read. Some of the best thinkers in the world have been readers. I have yet to find someone who acts smartly but who does not read. Although reading alone does not guarantee someone is smart, a smart person always reads. Smart people are convincible. If you meet someone who's given some very hard to refuse argument, and this person is still not accepting your claim, then you met a stupid person. Smart people in general are flexible enough to accept new ideas, theories, and ways of thinking when there's enough evidence to support in the change. Smart people are moral. No matter how powerful you are, if you do wrong, eventually things will go against you. But this is not the reason why smart people are evil. They simply can't accept living like that, with their conscience blaming them every night and day. Yeah, you do something bad, you think about that day and night. So what did I do? Being smart and having learned from what minor mistakes they may have committed in the past, they will tend to keep their conscience clean, crisp, and shining like the collar of a new white cotton t-shirt. Smart people are achievers, but not at any cost. They are achievers because they simply choose what they like to do and keep doing it until they make it big. Next, if they don't waste resources, including time, which contributes to the success. Obviously, there are more, but these heuristics are pretty representative enough. Best stand. It's an interesting perspective. What are some examples of shoot yourself in the foot moments that companies had with their product or brand? I'm concerned about my 17-year-old daughter as she was recently begun to sleep with her light on again and sleep with a teddy, both of which she hasn't done since she was a young child. What should I do? I work at a restaurant in Massachusetts last night. I was made to pay for a pizza I ordered incorrect toppings for. I'm pretty sure this isn't legal. Do I have recourse? Um, what are 20 things absolutely worthwhile in life? All right, let's see another one. Let's see what this person's opinion is. Learning to play an instrument, a highly rewarding experience that'll frustrate and delight you in equal parts. Oh, that is so true. That guitar I had sitting there, I was occasionally like strum it. I was like, oh, sing for me, or the piano. I have to look at the notes and mimic the movements. Two, taking risks. If you don't try, you'll never know. Plus, those who never made a mistake never made anything. So it's like the expression, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If it's better to know than to assume. Never assume. Like whenever if I am I if for example, let's say I think I want this person to go to the store. Let's say I want this person I just met to go to the store and request a soda. Right? I want to request soda. I just met him on the street. I was like, man, all these guys are gonna tell me no, right? So then I start asking, right? Start asking down the line and say, hey, do you want to? Could you go in the store, buy me a soda? It's down the street right there. Here's $5 and come back to me. And then you can keep the change. Just eliminate and not some eliminate. A lot of people probably tell me no. I'm waiting for the bus or I'm going somewhere. I gotta go somewhere. Someone might say yes. Someone might eventually say yes. But if I assume everyone will say no, then you won't have any data there. I was like, oh, look at that. Just everyone just said no. So it's, once again, take those calculated risks. Three, the newspaper crossword. It'll help to build your vocabulary and more importantly, your patience. Four, learning to drive. It'll give you independence and allow you to travel. If you can afford to do it, it's a no-brainer. Five, playing video games. Video games get a lot of bad press, but I've had some incredible enriching experience and learned I learned a lot along the way too. Yep, yep. Six, watching live music, sports, etc. There's nothing better than supporting your hometown team or feeling the buzz of singing your favorite songs along with thousands of like-minded people. Seven, fall in love. We all know the deal with this one. It comes to most of us in one way or another and at various points in life. Just go with it. Eight, having your heart broken. Yep. Oh, it's one of the cliches. It's better to love than not to love at all. That cliche. Yep, number seven and eight go together hand in hand pretty much. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, eh? Number nine, pursuing new hobbies. If something interests you, give it a go. If you never know where it might take you, it could even end up being your new career. Yep. 10, reading. We constantly see this mentioned on Quora, and for good reasons too. Knowledge is power, and the more you have, the better off you'll be. That is true. 11, taking a walk. So this would technically count as reading, but this is how I'm actually like making this more. I'm making this visible right here. All of this is organic growth, by the way. I'm not like promoting this, putting flyers out or anything like this to his YouTube channel. It's if someone just clicks on this video, they'll say, "Oh, look." They might be surprised. They might like the format. They might hate it. So it all depends on what you have there. So the nice thing about this is that you can listen to my voice while you drive or something like that, or you can read along and just let me read the text for you, and then I can give you some feedback, and then you can think about it yourself, and then pause the video and do some reflection and all that. Okay, 11, taking a walk. It helps to clear your mind, and in the right environment, it can reconnect you with nature. Plus, it functions as a good exercise. 12, doing something random. I heard in a talk recently that if you stay in on a Saturday night, chances are your dream girl isn't going to knock on the door. You don't say, so get out there, give yourself a chance and do something different. 13, writing. It doesn't have to be war and peace, but try writing a blog and answer a question on Quora or post on LinkedIn. Get good at expressing yourself as communication is key in all aspects of life. 14, traveling. Staying in the same town slash city you were born in does you no favors. Get out there and see the world, even if it's just other towns and cities in your own country. 15. Indulging in a guilty pleasure. And by indulging, I mean guilty pleasure, I mean having a bar of chocolate or your favorite treat now and then and keep it clean. 16. Getting out of your comfort zone. We all get stuck in the ruts from time to time. Sometimes you gotta get out of your cage. To semi-quote the killers. Coming out of the cage. You'll do just fine. 17. Making mistakes. I know I alluded to this in number 2, but it really is important. If you don't make mistakes, then you'll never try anything new. Huh. 18. Taking time to recharge. Modern life is fast paced and can be overwhelming at times. Take frequent breaks and rest your body and mind. 19. Learning to let go. Does this one really need explaining? 20. Taking a moment to appreciate the small things. When you think about it, so many events had to happen for us to even exist here on the small speck of dust called Earth. Take a moment to look up and appreciate the moon and stars, your family members around you, and the little things that make life worth living. Oh, Moshiroi? Alright. Have you ever met someone really privileged who shocked you? Okay, let's continue. How to increase salary as software engineer. I ghosted someone years back and still feel guilty about it. Should I say anything? What can I do with IQ of 133? How can people fired due to the coronavirus get a job? That's a good question. Why did our dog reject one puppy? She had six puppies, but at 1 week she moved one as far away as she could not and abandoned it. We gave it back, but she kept doing it. We're bottle feeding her now. Why? But why this one pup? She seems perfect. Oh, maybe because that's not her dog. Okay, let's see. Let's see what the people say. That's very interesting. Mommies know. Oliver was rejected by his mother and almost died. When my friend brought him to her home, she insisted that her dog that had just had a litter allow him to suckle. She also gave him sub-Q fluids. My daughter adopted him when he was able. All over the years, his chart at the vet was so huge like the Oxford Encyclopedia. All kinds of weird things plagued him. One nostril was always dry following x-rays and exploratory operation. No one could figure it out. He had organs removed. Oh my goodness. He had and common to pits, two quite expensive operations for his ligament tears. He could not tolerate so many medicines and food that he needed special diets. Thank goodness my daughter loved him beyond anything on his worth and was not above confronting vets who failed to pay attention to the many details that were life-threatening to him. Finally, one vet said he was special, and I always think of him as getting on the special ed dog school bus each morning. He jumped into a stranger's car and was beaten up by a cat. He was pure. If there is such a thing, a BT. He lived until he was almost 13. There is never a day that I do not. After all, he was my first grand dog. Think of him. But let's face it, his mom knew. We don't know precisely what or how, but that he would not survive without the kind of protection and devotion that he thank God received. Wow. So that's the cruelty of nature. If that animal isn't um, uh, strong, then it gets abandoned. Wow, that's very interesting. I never knew that. Okay, so they abandon animals abandon their own weak. Wow, wow, amazing. Okay, what does it mean when a police officer flashes his light but doesn't pull you over? How do you climb the corporate ladder? Do you think tipping is better than paying servers more at restaurants? What type of behavior or trait automatically makes you stay away and distrust a person without even speaking to them personally? Why? What was one job you had that made you quit within a couple of weeks? All right, let me see if I can answer this question. How do you load math checks in client's context JavaScript? I haven't done that before, so let's continue. What are common mistakes made by first time? Okay, we read that. I am 31, single, and just started a low paying job. Is it too late to start and succeed in life? Why do chefs say no to customers' requests for modifications so often? Why are so many people leaving California? What was the bravest thing you ever did in a job interview? How can you identify intelligent people? Uh, let's see. There's a couple of questions I always like try to spot. It's it's not like a blanket. You gotta just there's not a blanket. There's not like a formula like, oh, this person gotta be this, that. No, it's gotta just case by case basis. Let me see. Um, this has been a hobby of mine for several decades now. Let me share my the many common signs of intelligence I have observed. Take only talk only to share information. To them, small talk is simply that. Small, meaninglessly even. It's a waste of time. Yeah. That's what I was talking about when I'm reading questions, right? I don't care about subjective opinions. I care about objective opinions because objective stuff can be used. Like, for example, this objective, uh, sorry, objective opinion. What's that? Sorry, an objective fact, not a subjective opinion. There's no such thing as well, objective. Yeah, yeah, this is an objective opinion because you could say, well, that's kind of hard. Well, uh, yeah, okay, I'm kind of, well, let's just say this: subjective opinion and objective facts. We'll just put it those two camps. Um, so for example, I can give you like an objective fact here that could be useful. So let's say you had a voltmeter, right? And you suspect that the car has a dead battery. When you crank up the car, prior to cranking it up, I should say, you connect the leads to the battery, and you see that thing reads like 8 volts. So you know it's a discharged battery. So you might need to jump start it. So you jump start the battery, right, and it cranks on, right? All right. But then you notice that the it jumps, right, but it doesn't go above 12 volts. So now you know, oh, if it's not going above 12 volts, they have a bad alternator. That alternator is not charging the battery. Or you can be like a different approach too. Let's say you have but prior to cranking the car up, you test the battery. It says 12 volts. All right, so the battery looks fully charged. So then you crank up the car. The car says 14 volts now when the car's on. So now you know it's all functional and everything. So yeah, so there you go. You get some actual useful information. Applicable stuff. You now learn how to diagnose like a bad battery. All right. So yeah, that's my style right there. I like to talk only to share information, uh, useful information. Like I don't care about, oh, what'd you eat last night? I don't care about that. How's that gonna help me? Like that's not gonna help me at all. That's like, but if you tell me, oh, I worked on this project last night. This is what I did. This was what I found out. I was like, oh, very interesting. I was like, very interesting, because now you say, oh, you worked on an art project. Or you say, oh yeah, I did this. I blended this with this, and I got this result. Initially, I tried this. So I was like, oh, okay, it's very interesting. Because then I was like, art, I can use art, even though I'm not doing it right now. I was like, because for my website, I was like, I want to draw a logo. So they tell me some art stuff, I can actually use that art. So I was like, okay, they give me good advice. So yeah, to them, small talk is meaningless. Simply that, small means even if it's a waste of time. They proactively listen to others and digest what was said before explaining their counterargument. They bounce ideas and hypotheses off of others rather than discuss random pop psychology or the latest news on a celebrity couple. In short, they shamelessly focus on what's important, brutally honest with what they don't know. I think a common trap with many people fall under is trying to pretend we understand something that we don't know while nodding our heads meaninglessly. We do this because we don't want to appear uninformed and unknowingly. I'm still working to improve on this myself. Not me. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, what's the answer? Like, someone's like, oh, can you go do this? Let me first. I try it. If I know what I do, I go do it. But I was like, I don't know. Can you show me? It's like that. I think intelligent people get straight to the point. Yep. They say, I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me like a fly? Now, I saw a meme on that. A post. It was kind of funny. So the supervisor and the boss are talking, right? They say, can you explain it to me like I'm 5? And the boss is like, well, I know him like I'm 3, so I'll try my best. So I was like, that's a good rebuttal. Okay. They could care less about what others perceive their understandings of intelligence to be. What they do care about is catching up and learning so that they can understand in the first place. Yep. They know that without a solid understanding of the basics, there's no hope for them to grasp the more complex material. Good sources are here. Consider different perspectives. Truly intelligent people have the ability to inhabit a different perspective, especially a perspective they disagree with. Abraham Lincoln would sometimes argue with a friend from one perspective, and then they would switch and argue from the opposite perspective. Ah, nothing to prove. They never feel the need to prove to other people how smart they are. They don't brag about it. Casual acquaintance probably don't even know. I think this is because they are so secure about their intelligence that it's a non-issue to them. My father went to Harvard and had a stunning memory. He never uses IQ as a way to make other people feel inferior. Some people who want to let everyone know how smart they are. Yeah, I doubt they are. Have patience. Leonardo da Vinci called it sunfanto, or smoke. The idea is that not everything is clear, and the desire to have an answer now can lead someone into error. Intelligent people have patience with difficult, dense, or even ambiguous or vague subjects. Patience is defined as the ability to endure, and in this case, a sign of intelligence is enduring and not having a clear, definite answer. Know how to explain their craft. This especially applies to people who are professionals or experts in their field. This is because they've been through it all. They know that it's what it's like to come across the topic for the first time, to progressively learn more about it as a student, to have dedicated hours in studying and research and becoming an expert. They know that the stages of learning are and can explain their craft to anyone in those respective stages. Albert Einstein is well known for saying the following quote: "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." Good listeners. Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. So like, I remember when I was mentoring a couple of students back in high school. Um, one good strategy I remember to tell them how to remember where west and east go on a compass. Normally, for some reason, people understand that forward is north and back is south. But then they have to distinguish. Okay, what's gonna make west and east? I told them that if you want to know where west and east go, always know that west and east on a compass spell we. It spells we. So it goes N at the top, S at the sorry, N at the top, S at the bottom, W on the left, and E on the right. So, it's NS and then WE. So we. All right. Good listeners. They read and go to talks. A sure sign of intelligence is reading and listening. The average CEO reads 50 books a year. Warren Buffett spends most of his time reading. He's fond of saying, "The more you learn, the more you earn." Continuous learner. They read a lot and are constantly still learning. My father always took us to historical places or natural wonders during our summer vacations. Battlefields, museums, Grand Canyons, stuff like that. Our pleas to go to Disneyland went unheard. My father wanted to learn things on his days off and his days on too. He not only read both fiction and nonfiction, but he also watched many documentaries. Seeking new perspectives. Intelligent people aren't afraid or ashamed to tell you when they don't know something. I've had more than one doctor try to fake his way through a conversation when I knew more about a medical condition than he did. When I found a doctor who said, "I don't know," I researched that. I kept that doctor. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like those doctors. Especially, I like it when they have a follow up. I don't like when they just say, "I don't know." If just say, "I don't know," and don't say, "Okay, I don't know. I'll find that out on the next visit." I like that. But if they just say, "I don't know," without any like follow up plan in mind, oh, I hate that. So it's like, okay, are consistently curious. They ask questions. I guess they realize that the way you learn things is often to ask. Okay, okay, and then the plug right there. Okay, that was pretty good. But wow, we kind of went a little over. But yeah, this is really good. I like this. But thank you for this was really good. I made up for that 10 minute or like less than 10 minute video the other day. So yeah, you got some content here. Thank you for tuning in. It's Miguel saying adios.